Chapter 3, what we call human nature. The creature between instinct and meaning. We like to imagine ourselves as rational creatures, clear-thinking creatures, conscious creatures. We imagine ourselves moving through life by intention, carefully choosing what we believe, what we value, what we pursue, and who we become. But most of the time, we are feeling our way through reality with systems we did not design, inheritances we barely understand, and instincts older than memory. Beneath our opinions, identities, philosophies, and ambitions, there is a creature, a living nervous system shaped by millions of years of survival. And no matter how modern the world becomes, that creature still lives inside us. The body does not know what a stock market is. It does not understand social media, performance reviews, online audiences, digital comparison, or algorithmic attention economies. These are recent inventions layered atop machinery that evolved in a very different world. What the body understands is simpler: approval, threat, belonging, rejection, scarcity, status, loss, uncertainty, safety. And much of modern life can be understood as ancient circuitry reacting to modern conditions. A critical email can feel like exile. Public embarrassment can feel like death. Social exclusion can feel physically painful. Not because these experiences are literally life-threatening, but because for most of human history belonging was survival. To be cast out from the tribe was not merely emotionally difficult. It was dangerous. Even now, our bodies often react to symbolic threats as though they were physical ones. Much of what we call anxiety is the collision between ancient biology and modern environments. We evolved in small groups, slow rhythms, physical realities, face-to-face interaction, and immediate feedback from nature. Now we live among abstractions, constant comparison, infinite information, permanent stimulation, invisible audiences, artificial urgency, and manufactured desire. The nervous system struggles to keep up, yet human beings cannot be reduced to instinct alone. For somewhere along the way, awareness emerged, and everything became more complicated. We became creatures capable of standing outside ourselves and watching ourselves live. We remember the past indefinitely. We imagine futures that never arrive. We replay conversations years later. We anticipate rejection before it occurs. We construct identities from stories and interpret reality symbolically. Animals suffer. Human beings often suffer twice. Once through reality itself, and again through imagination. Consciousness transforms survival into psychology. A physical wound can heal. A remembered humiliation can remain alive for decades. A threat that never actually happens can still shape an entire life. A story about who we are can imprison us long after the conditions that created it have disappeared. Because we are self-aware creatures, we do not merely experience pain. We interpret it. We organize our lives around it. We build identities from it. And yet even consciousness does not emerge in isolation. Human beings become themselves socially. Before we ever chose our beliefs, we inherited assumptions. Before we consciously desired things, we absorbed models of desire. Before we understood identity, we learned belonging. Much of what we call normal arrives socially, before it arrives consciously. Beauty, success, status, morality, ambition, achievement, even the shape of a good life. We often imagine ourselves choosing freely, yet long before we began choosing, we were being shaped by parents, culture, fear, longing, reward systems, emotional atmospheres, what received approval, and what threatened exclusion. Human beings are profoundly imitative creatures. We learn not only through instruction, but through observation. We absorb emotional patterns, relationship patterns, status patterns, conflict patterns, and attention patterns. Sometimes even our desires are not entirely our own. We learn what to want by watching what others appear to value. This creates a peculiar form of confusion. People can spend decades climbing toward goals they never consciously examined. Lives can become organized around borrowed ambitions. Entire identities can emerge from adaptation rather than reflection. And yet human beings are not merely conditioned creatures. We are also meaning-making creatures. At some point, human life became larger than survival. We began asking questions that survival alone cannot answer. Why live? What matters? What is worth suffering for? What makes a good life? What is love? What is enough? What remains after death? Perhaps civilization itself emerged partly from this condition. Shared stories, shared rituals, shared moral systems, shared symbolic worlds, not merely to organize society, but to stabilize existence itself. Human beings do not live well inside pure chaos. We need orientation. We need frameworks capable of helping us carry uncertainty. We need meaning structures large enough to contain suffering. This may explain why human beings have always created religion, philosophy, myth, art, ritual, and moral systems. Not because uncertainty disappears, but because consciousness requires psychological orientation. We are creatures attempting to make reality inhabitable. Yet the same capacities that elevate us also distort us. Human beings are not unified internally. We contain competing drives: security and freedom, comfort and growth, truth and belonging, impulse and restraint, self-interest and love, tribe and conscience. Part of the difficulty of being human is that multiple systems inside us often want different things at the same time. One part seeks safety, while another seeks expansion. One seeks pleasure, while another seeks meaning. One wants approval, while another wants authenticity. Because of this, human beings are often strangers to themselves. The mind is not a clean machine ruled by reason. It is closer to a negotiation among competing forces. This is why self-deception is so common, rationalization so powerful, and ideology so seductive. It is why people defend identities even against reality itself. It is why desire can overpower values, fear can distort perception, and intelligence alone does not protect against delusion. Human beings are remarkably capable of constructing explanations for impulses that originated elsewhere. And much of adulthood becomes the slow recognition that clarity is fragile, awareness requires maintenance, perception is not neutral, and attention itself shapes reality. Perhaps maturity is not the elimination of contradiction. Perhaps maturity is learning how to relate wisely to the tensions within us. Not perfection. Relationship. The goal is not to erase instinct, nor is it to become purely rational. The goal is to understand the creature we are, to recognize both its strengths and limitations, and to learn how to live in conscious relationship with it. Human nature is neither a flaw to be overcome, nor a machine to be optimized. It is the terrain from which human life emerges. We are animals, yet more than animals. We are social creatures, yet more than social creatures. We are meaning-making creatures, yet never entirely free from instinct. We live suspended between biology and symbolism, impulse and reflection, inheritance and choice. Between instinct and meaning, and perhaps wisdom begins when we stop pretending to be only one side of that equation and learn to inhabit both.